Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Miracle Network's Wednesday meditation. I'm so glad you're all here to share this time together. This week we have Carolina Corada, who will lead us in meditation, and then we'll have 20 minutes silence. And after that, we'll open it up for sharing. Over to you, Carolina.
Hello, everyone. Hugs and warm greetings from the island of Tenerife. And yes, I want to bring about today the topic of the abstract mind and the final judgment. So I'm just going to read a little bit of lesson 161. Bear with me. It says, this is lesson 161. Complete abstraction is the natural condition of the mind. Complete abstraction is the natural condition of the mind. Thus, then it speaks about how the specifics were made, and it says, thus were specifics made, and now it is specifics we must use in practicing. We give them to the Holy Spirit, that He may employ them for a purpose which is different from the one we gave to them. So I open my mind to the origin, the abstract mind as the origin, and the concrete mind as the ego's mind. I've asked myself many times, how do I go back to the abstract mind? And lesson 161 states it very clearly, through the Holy Spirit, by giving all to the Holy Spirit. So for me, it brings back the idea of the final judgment, the end of all judgments, the end of all opinions, the end of all preferences, the end of all separated thoughts. Again, all back through the Holy Spirit. So today's meditation, I wanted to inspire everyone into the possibility of the return to the abstract mind. Not actually knowing what that means, but knowing that it is a possibility, it is the original experience of the self, and the only way back is through a humble surrender to the Holy Spirit of everything that I judge. And we were just recently speaking about judgments and opinions and how this and that or the other could be right or wrong. So we are told the specifics were made, and we give them to the Holy Spirit that He may employ them for so that He may employ them for a purpose which is different from the one we gave them. So I look at my thoughts, I look at my ideas, my opinions, my judgments, my preferences, all these very specific thoughts and ideas. And I realize humbly that they have nothing to do with the abstract mind. They are the illusion of the ego mind. And my only way back is to be willing to be corrected, to be willing to be changed by the Holy Spirit, so that the Holy Spirit can employ everything I surrender to Him in a different way that the ego mind would. And when I say the ego mind, I need to be completely humble to acknowledge that the Course in Miracles student, the mystic that is walking this earth, is still the ego mind. That's how we begin our journey, from the ego mind towards the abstract mind. And the way to become, the way back to the abstract mind is releasing each one of what we carry in our backpack, let's say in our human backpack. My loves, my hates, my preferences, my denials, my blah, blah, blah. This is all the ego mind. I mean, This is us right now. And as we let go and surrender to the Holy Spirit, because we want to, because we are humble enough to acknowledge that everything that I've made separate, important, valuable, or the opposite, still are not, is not part of the abstract mind, but of the judgmental mind. I realize that the ego cannot be fought. The ego can only be abandoned. Abandoned. And the journey of abandoning the ego has the Holy Spirit as the powerful companion. Abandoning the ego is being willing to surrender all the specifics to the Holy Spirit. So, what are the specifics? And I question myself all the time. What are the specifics? Does this pertain to the weather? We were recently talking about the weather. Is the weather specifics? Is the friendship specifics? Recently, we were also talking about drugs and psychedelics. Are those specifics? People with names and last names, are those specifics? Every single aspect of my human world pertains to specifics. And the final judgment comes when I allow the Holy One, the abstract one, to take over all my specifics with willingness, fearlessly. Because for the ego mind, letting go and jumping into abstraction is a very fearful idea. Where will I go? What will happen with my loved ones? Will I have another name? Will I even have a name? How does that work? And in my practice with the Course, it's been quite a while now. As I come to the Holy Spirit humbly with the willingness, and this has been true in the past, I'm willing to be willing to surrender to you, Holy One, my specifics. I've realized that each time I come to Him with truth in my heart, not pretending to be more willing than I am actually willing, but finding the place in my heart and in my mind where I am actually sitting in this moment, I can see how the Holy Spirit has changed me from within, and I find it much more simpler and joyful to surrender the specifics, because now the fear is gone. I don't know if I can say all the fear is gone, but right now most of it is gone. I am no longer afraid to jump into an experience that I cannot define, but that I am offered by the Holy One. So in this meditation that we're going to have today, I'd like to invite you all to observe the willingness to jump into the abstract mind by means of the Holy Spirit. That would be one aspect. And the second aspect to observe is, in these 20 minutes that we're going to spend together, is how much of your specifics are you willing to surrender to the Holy Spirit? It's as simple as that. For example, I just had my son who arrived from Thailand to Tenerife, where I'm staying, and he's going to spend some time with me. And I could feel the specialness. I could feel the special joy trying to take over. And I spend very specific prayer and meditation time in surrendering, like I am asked in lesson 161, surrendering to the Holy Spirit my specifics, my special love, my special joy. So this is my invitation to you. Of course, I can only invite you to share with me something that I've already practiced. So we want to observe if the abstract mind triggers fear. If it does, that's okay because I mean, we are going from fear to love. So it's only common that in our practice, fear is triggered. So I observe as fear is triggered as I think of the abstract mind. The abstract mind for me is like a synonym of God or a synonym of love or a synonym of life. I observe that. And then in these 20 minutes, Holy Spirit, I give to you my specifics and observe what you are able to surrender within me. I surrender to you, Holy Spirit, my special relationship with my son. Surrender to you, my special relationship with the weather in this beautiful island. I surrender to you, my special relationship with these beautiful people on the UK Miracle Network. I surrender to you. And then as we uh, reveal our specifics to our conscious mind and consciously surrender, then more will pop up, more will pop up to awareness, and we will join. We will come closer to the abstract. So I'm ready to go into silence, Teresa. Thank you. See you in 20 minutes.
Open your eyes slowly and come back into the room. We have 13 minutes left for sharing your reflections and your questions. If you'd like to speak, raise your hand, or you could use the reactions button at the bottom of the screen, or if you want to leave a message or a comment with confidentiality, you can put it in the chat function at the bottom of the screen, and I'll read it out. Who'd like to share? Kirsty.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you, Carolina. That was an absolutely perfectly timed lesson for me this morning. I must have done lesson 161 before because I've done the workbook through a couple of times, but it's never been a go-to lesson of mine. And I don't remember it. It's really weird. It's like coming to it for the first time, but it's a really, really beautiful lesson. And I was just had an experience this morning where I was I just dropped my kids off at school and I called into Tesco's, which is a big supermarket. And I'm trying to really kind of be careful with what I eat at the moment. But, there's a kind of craving for food that I shouldn't be eating. So I'm in this kind of constant battle for, I shouldn't be eating this, but I really want to. And I just noticed it as I was just getting some things in Tesco. And the first thing that came in for me was this ego's kind of resistance, which is, no, you mustn't do that. And it always creates this horrible conflict in my mind, this real tension in my mind. I want to, but I can't kind of thing. And then I remembered the teaching, which was, join with the Holy Spirit in your mind. So you're observing yourself. You're observing this body who is not yourself. And so I did that, and it was quite effective actually. What happened? I was kind of watching myself walking around Tesco's as though I was watching myself on a screen, and immediately the desire to have stuff that I didn't, go into the bakery or whatever, immediately that dissolved. I didn't want it anymore, which was really beautiful. I was like, yay. But then when I came home, but I noticed this real fear. And it was an abstract fear. It wasn't a specific fear. It wasn't to do with, oh my God, this might happen or that might happen. It was purely an abstract fear. And I was just journaling about it just before I came on here. And I realized that it was the fear of deauthorizing the ego thought system. So when you can read about it and talk about it and teach about it, but when you actually do it, when you actually do rely on something other than the ego, it can be very, very fearful. And I was just journaling just then about, just this real fear is coming up here, and I don't know what it is. And it's amazing that you came on here today and said something almost exactly about what I've experienced. So thank you for that, Carolina.
Thank you, Kirsty. Thank you. That was beautiful. Yes, the becoming aware of what is happening in my mind, what I'm thinking, and knowing that my journey is towards the abstract mind with that support and help of the Holy Spirit is, I think, probably the goal of most of the lessons of the Course in Miracles. And then when you practice them and have an experience, like you said, and especially when each one of us is willingly observing the fear that comes up and acknowledging it as an aspect of the ego mind and not of spirit, then shift is really happening. So thank you for your story. That was beautiful.
Who would like to share? Thank you, Carolina. That was a beautiful lesson that you focused on, and I think that's the key to everything. It's just to notice when I'm in the ego, insane mind, and then step back and ask Holy Spirit to to heal it. And I do that all the time, and I've been doing it for so long. And I notice fears, and I notice judgments, and I give them to Holy Spirit, and Holy Spirit dissolves them, and then I'm back in my right mind. And it doesn't take long before I'm back in the ego again. The ego just fights back, but I just keep it up, and it works so well. I'm done.
Thank you. You know that, Dan, I particularly like this lesson, and I was so guided to share this with you guys today because it speaks about specifics. It speaks about specifics because there is a tendency, I surrender my fear, or I surrender my hatred, or my doubts, and that's not very specific. So this particular lesson, and I take it for myself, because we were in the meditation, for me it was like a prayer, a joint prayer, where I was observing the specifics with the name and the last name, with a particular idea. And one of the specifics was my relationships. Another specifics is my body. Another specifics, So I do feel that as we come closer and closer to the abstract mind, to the right mind, the specifics need to go. There is no specifics in the right mind. There is no specifics in the mind of love, in the mind of God. There are no specifics. There's just this. So, specifics for me is a shortcut. I love this lesson 61.
Thank you. We'd like to share.
Thank you for that.
Linda, take yourself off mute.
Thank you, Carolina. That was perfect timing for me as well as Kirsty. I woke up early and I actually went and got a cup of tea in bed because it was cold. And I looked at my lesson for today. Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. And what's been coming up for me recently, very recently, is, well, I thought I hadn't got any anger in me. I thought it had all gone. And thought I was doing really quite well. And then all of a sudden, massive anger came up. And the voice said, "This is a gift." So I was able to forgive that man for cajoling me into looking after his animals when he went on holiday, where I said I wasn't going to do it again. However, since then, I've had the opportunity and the gifts of lots of grievances coming up, more and more. And this morning, my lesson is, what is holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. And this is just perfect for me. What is salvation, Father? I do not know. Tell me that I may understand. And what you've been saying today is just perfect for me to look at it and hand it over. These grievances, I've written them all down, and I thought I'm going to burn them today and hand them all over. I'm going to hand them all over. And I wrote about 3, and then about 5 came, and then more. And I think, where have all these come from? And what I found is I thought I had forgiven my dad for controlling. He was a controller, big time controller. And I feel that that's affected me all my life. And I've allowed other people to control me. I'm still doing it. And what you've been saying today is just perfect. I'm just so thrilled to be on here today. It's answering me. Thank you. I just wanted to share that I thought I was doing really, really well. And then the gift of all these grievances have come up. How lucky am I?
Thank you. And I love that lesson that you mentioned, Linda, because do we really know what salvation is? Do we really know how it feels? Do we really know what the abstract mind is, what God is? We might get glimpses, you know, in mystical revelation moments, instances. But this is we are walking the path of trust, the development of trust in the Holy Spirit. And then as that rises, you know, it's very humbling. I had an experience like the one you're narrating just a couple of days ago. So, wow, it's so humbling to be able to look at that, and thank you for showing us.
Yes.
Because you do reflect that humbleness back to us, you know, the humbleness of saying, wow, okay, here I am, Holy One, with what I have in my heart and in my mind, that I surrender it to you, for my journey is to the abstract mind, and I trust you are the guidance. And I don't know how that will feel, but I know deep down within me that this is the right path, that I will find my way back to that experience.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who'd like to share?
If no one else has got anything to share, Caroline, I'd just like to say, I know I've shared already, but I'd just like to say, Linda and I work together very closely, don't we, Linda? We often, you know, we speak very, very regularly throughout the week, and we work through things together. And it's really amazing that we both have had this experience this morning of this lesson being absolutely spot on perfect for both of us in a really, really spooky way. And you said before that you were guided to do it. I'm just wondering, did you just have this morning, or was it just suddenly this morning, oh, I'll do 161, or was that something that you pre-planned?
No, it was this morning. I got up this morning.
Wow.
I didn't sleep very much last night, so I got up and made some coffee, and I sat in front of the computer and opened the Course in Miracles on the computer, and I just prayed, and I felt the abstract mind.
Yeah.
So I went right into that lesson. It just came to me very, I don't know, 15 minutes before we met.
Yeah, Holy Spirit's looking out for me and you, Linda, there, isn't he?
Yes. As soon as you spoke, Kirsty, I knew it was for us.
And everybody else, of course, and
Yes,
everybody
and
else.
everyone else.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Caroline. It really has been a beautiful experience for me this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Carolina. That's been wonderful. And take yourself off of mute and show your appreciation to Carolina.
It's
Thank
wonderful.
you
Thank you,
so much,
Carolina.
Caroline.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Carolina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.